Hey everybody, I'm Bob Lucido, and you're back in the Bearcat Training Camp, where we are offering in-depth business building training for teen Beachbody coaches. I want to talk to you a little bit today about achieving goals. That's right, I said achieving goals, not setting goals, but achieving goals. I'm a big believer in treating your business like a business, and if you've made your way through the Phase 1 videos, you already know that about me. I'm also a big believer in systems and having detailed plans that guide your actions so that you have a plan and a trajectory that are guiding everything that you're doing along your business plan. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share with you some thoughts and ideas, a little system. This is a system that I've adopted and I use myself. It's what I share with the coaches who I work with one-on-one and in my mentoring programs. It's a system for achievement, not setting goals, but achieving goals. There's 12 steps, and the idea here is to get actively involved with the growth of your goals, not just setting them down and writing them out and putting them in the corner to collect dust for the rest of the year, but to get very active on the movement towards the fulfillment of those goals. It's a 12-step program, and I'm going to share each of the 12 steps with you today. Please hear from me though, right from the beginning. This is a system that requires continued action. It's not enough to go through these first 12 steps and get your goals set. This is a system that you're going to want to live with throughout the year, continually returning back to these 12 concepts and ensuring that you are continually in line and on the right trajectory towards the achievement of your goal. Okay? So let's jump right in. The first one is to develop desire, to make it personal. Let me say that again. You have to make the goal personal. Develop personal desire. You have to be selfish about the goal in some sense and really ground it in to your own personal passion, your own personal vision. A goal that's set because of what somebody else thinks you should do or what you think you should do for some external reason, or to chase a prize, or to chase a title, or whatever that may be, is not going to have the kind of sticking power and the kind of driving power that you need to reach all the way to achievement. Make sure your goal makes sense to you, to who you are, to what you're really trying to do, and where you're really trying to get. You cannot just arbitrarily pick something out of the sky. So in our business, that might mean a rank or a title or a recognition or even an income level. You must be specific and have it make sense to what you personally are trying to achieve. So if you're making goals for your business, you may have rank-related goals. You may have income-related goals. You may be trying to become an elite coach this year. All of those things are great things to include in your goal, but make sure they have personal reason for you to choose them. Make sure they are personal so that it touches you on a deep level, connected with your passion for why you're setting this goal in the first place. Okay? So that's number one. You have to make it personal. It has to be about you. It has to be about you. And it has to make 100% sense to you in your own personal goals. Okay, so if you're setting an income goal, you can't just grab a number out of the sky. You have to choose a number that makes sense to you, that you can personally connect with. Okay, so as an example, for me, in the very beginning when I came into coaching and started this Teen Beachbody Coach business, one of my initial goals was an income-related goal, and it was to replace the income that I was at that time generating from my law practice. And many of you know I was an attorney before becoming a Beachbody coach, and I had a practice and I had an income, and it was a number. I knew what it was. And I knew the exact number that I needed. That's what I set as my goal, and it was personal. It meant something to me because it meant that I could then make the decision and have the freedom to make the decision, should I choose to actually do this full time and replace the career that I had been in before, which was something that was part of my original goals. And it was personal to me, it made sense to me. I knew the number, I knew why it was the number, and I knew what I personally would gain if I achieved that goal, that income-related goal, okay? Now, we have all kinds of goals, and some of them are income-related, and some of them are recognition-related, some of them are related to what we're trying to do and what we're passionate about in this business. You know, now one of my big goals that drives me forward is how many people on my team can I help to reach their own goals, to help reach the income levels they're trying to get to. How many new leaders can I bring up in my organization, which does have a personal component, by the way, because I want my organization to continue to grow. I want my business to continue to grow long term, which means that I have a personal relationship with that goal. Okay? So I think that one makes sense to you. The second one is developing belief. Developing belief. You must have a deep-seated belief in your ability to reach that goal. And that's why the setting of the goal is a crucial aspect of your achieving that goal. Again, you can't just be arbitrary and pick things out of the sky because you won't believe it. The trick here is choosing a goal that you can believe, but also which stretches you just slightly beyond. Okay? Don't make it too easy. But don't make it too hard either. Don't make it unreachable. Don't say, I joined this business today and I want to make 7 figures this year. It's probably not going to happen, okay? And you probably don't believe that. So don't do that to yourself because you're setting yourself up for failure. When we set the goal in the beginning, we have to be aware of the belief component. And like I said, stretch yourself just a little bit further beyond what you believe, maybe 10% further, 20% further, because you do want the stretching in there. And we'll talk about that further as we go. But make sure you're aware of this belief component. And here's where the continual activity comes in. Because belief can be built. And the way you're going to build belief is to also make sure that you're building in achievable benchmarks along the way. You will believe in your big goal more as you continue to prove to yourself that you are moving forward toward that goal. And one of the best ways that you can do that is to reverse engineer that goal back to the place where you have determined the steps that need to be reached along the way, and to concentrate on each of those steps along the way. Celebrate every time you reach one of those benchmarks because that is furthering your belief in your ability to make it to that end goal. And also make sure that you're educating yourself along the way, doing the research into the achievability of your goal. What are some of the other people who have reached the goal that you're setting? You may want to get in contact with them. You may want to become more familiar with their stories, driving the belief that you can reach that goal as well. That's what's so powerful about the before and after pictures and the success stories of people using our programs, is that it helps to drive belief in those of us who are just starting on day one, because we see where it's happened over and over again. And that helps us to further build that flame of belief. Okay, so there's a few real tangible things that you can do to build belief. It's not enough just in the beginning to go, okay, I believe it. Okay, that's great, but let's make sure that we make that belief real, okay? So set a goal that is believable to you in the beginning. Stretch yourself just a little bit further. Give yourself achievable benchmarks along the way. Recognize as you hit them, celebrate as you hit them, and do the education and research part of the authenticity and the reality of the ability for that goal to be achieved. Always building that belief, always firing that movement forward towards achievement, okay? The next step is to write it down. Write it down. You all know I'm a huge fan of keeping a journal. In some of the phase 1 stuff, we talked about keeping a journal. We talked about Jim Rohn's audio of how to keep a journal. And in fact, I'll make sure that that gets pulled up on our Facebook work page so that you can all see that. That's a great place to go as a sort of side note to get some more depth in that aspect. But you have to write your goal down. Too many people say, yes, I've set a goal and I know what the goal is, but they don't go through the exercise of writing it down. You need to write it down to ground it, to specify it, and be detailed in your goal. Don't just be wishy-washy, be detailed in exact specificity. What is the goal? What does it look like when you achieve it? What's it going to feel like when you achieve it? Why is it important to you? All of those things, dig into it. Your goal statement should be beefy. It should have thought, and it should have real depth in it. So take some time, and that's why I say put it in the beginning of your journal, because you're going to see as we go through these, I'm going to ask you to continue to visit that. I'm going to ask you to continue to work with that and continue to breathe life into the goal, okay? And another aspect of writing it down is to share it. Share your goal. Speak your goal. If you have a business partner, if you have a success partner, whoever it is, maybe it's on your team Facebook pages, maybe it's in one of your coach training groups, whatever it is, the support groups that you have and that you're working with, make sure you are sharing the specificity of your goals. Because when we write it down, when we voice it and we share it with others, we are beginning the process of already holding ourselves accountable for the achievement of that goal. Whereas when we keep it in the closet and we don't write it down, we don't show it to anybody, we don't share it with anybody, the likelihood is that we also are never going to attain it because we haven't breathed life into it. We have not given it the ability to grow and to manifest into our lives. Don't make that a mistake with your goals. Give your goals some place to live. And for me, it's in my journal, writing it out in the very beginning and continually going back, continually updating it and massaging it and moving it forward, okay? Another good thing to do here is dream boards. And I'm not going to go into details. I mean, I think there's plenty out there in terms of how to do a dream board, but basically it's pictures and words, and it's a grounding exercise for taking your goals and giving them something physical, okay, for you to look at and for them to sit in. It's building a grounding foundation for them, okay? You've got to give that to your goal. And we'll talk more about dream boards later, because we're also going to talk about revisiting and looking and visualizing. So that one kind of helps you get two of these at the same time. Crucial component to the achievement of goals is that very beginning. You got to give them that launching pad. You got to give them that specificity and detail right up front. The next thing is to list out all the ways that the achievement of the goal is going to benefit you. List out all the ways that the achievement of this goal is going to benefit you. This is going to help to drive the personal touch that we talked about in number 1. It's going to help to bring your passion out and to drive you forward with real meaning. It starts to give meaning to this process when you can, in a detailed way, list out all the benefits that are going to come from the achievement of this goal. It now starts to take on a purpose. It now starts to take on purpose and meaning. It's not just, something that you wrote down and shoved off to the side. List out all the things that are going to come out of the achievement of that goal and why those things are important to you, your family, your business, whatever it is that you're trying to grow, that this goal is related to. And get very specific and very detailed. Make this an exercise that allows you to go deeper into the why behind your goal. This exercise will also, by the way, help you in redefining, or maybe not redefining, but to continually define. That's a better way to say it. And we want to keep that philosophy in our minds. We are continually defining this goal and increasing the specificity, increasing the personal connection to it, increasing the connection with our inner passion and our inner why that caused us to set this goal forward in the first place. We're educating ourselves on the real meaning and purpose of this goal. And the deeper we get with that, the higher the likelihood is that we will attain it. The list of things specifying all the benefits that we're going to receive, or our family is going to receive, or our business is going to receive, whatever it is your team's going to receive when you achieve that goal, helps you to define the things that are going to drive you towards success and drive you towards achieving that. Those are the things that are going to keep you moving forward and keep you driving. Those are the things that you're going to visualize having already come to be to help attract you to the achievement of that goal. Okay? So get very specific and detailed with that. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes when you dig into that process, some benefits reveal themselves to you that you hadn't thought of in the beginning. And that's a great thing, because that's going to help deepen your connection with this goal. And that's what we're trying to do, okay? That's what's going to drive us towards achievement. The deeper we can get connected with it, the higher the likelihood is that we will achieve it, okay? The next one is to analyze your starting point. Analyze your starting point. You have to create a launching pad. We have to know where the start is, because otherwise, if we're pushing off of an undefined, wishy-washy beginning point, we don't really know exactly where we are, then we will never be able to launch off of that to create and achieve anything. You need a solid foundation to start from. And it begins with your own definition and analysis of about exactly where you're starting. That's why when we work with people with the fitness programs, it's so important to do the before pictures, right? We want all of our challengers to do the before pictures because they have meaning. It starts. It establishes the start. And that does two things. For most people, you don't go backwards from there, because that's your start. And there's a subconscious thing that gets triggered, and that start becomes solid. That's number one. Number two, we can then use that once we've documented the start to help us in our reflections along the way, to help us to see and to measure growth, to help us to see and to celebrate the progress that we're making along the way. Sometimes it's very easy a month or two down the road to go, I don't know how I'm doing with that. Whereas if you have a very good and defined starting point, you can go back and look at your starting point and actually have some measurable metrics that you can use to help you to see the growth, to see the movement towards your goal, okay? Which then, of course, reverberates back and helps to build the belief, helps to build the connection and the personal desire and all that stuff we've talked to up to this point. Remember, I said this was a system. This is something that you want to be going over systematically throughout the entire year, throughout the entire length of time that you've set for the achievement of your goal, whatever that might be. Okay, so we want that self-reflection ability. We want that solid foundation of where the starting is. Now, I used before pictures of a fitness program as an example, but if you have an income-related goal, it could be, what's my income right now today? It's a solid number. I know exactly what it is. That might be my starting point. My goal might be to build the biggest, most successful fit club that's ever been put together. Great. What's my fit club look like today? How many people do I have coming a week now? What's my start point? And get very specific with it so you have a real good definition of your launching pad. Something to push off of that's solid that will then support your growth forward, okay? And the next thing that follows that, of course, obviously, is to set a deadline. Set a deadline. If we have a good solid starting point, we need a good solid finish line as well. No one has ever won a race that didn't have a finish line, right? You need a finish line. To achieve, you need a finish line. You need a target to be shooting for. You can't hit a target that doesn't exist. You can't hit a bullseye that you can't see, right? All of that comes into play in your goal achievement as well. You have to have a well-defined timeline. A deadline allows you to reverse engineer and create a timeline. It allows you to be able to create and incorporate benchmarks along the way, as we talked about. One of the things we're going to use to help build our belief. We need to put those in, but you can't put those in if you don't know where it ends. So have a good, solid deadline, okay? And your deadline has to have a date on it. It can't be someday. Look at any calendar you want. There is not anywhere in there someday. Give yourself a deadline. Give yourself a date. I'm going to be X by Summit. I am XYZ on December 31st, 2017. Whatever your deadline is that makes sense to your goal, have a good, solid, clearly defined deadline. And here's the thing, for those of you who are going to follow up on the keeping of a journal, when you write out your goals, you are then also going to write out an achievement statement. And this is where you include your deadline. This is where you state your deadline and you state your goal as having been achieved in the first person present tense on your deadline date. Okay? So, if your deadline is income related and or if your goal is income related and your deadline is December 31st, 2017, you're going to write out the goals, and then you're going to have an achievement statement after that that says, on December 31st, 2017, I am earning X. That's a positive achievement statement in the present tense, first person. That's very important that you do that. Set that in stone, and then that will guide you forward. That will pull you toward the accomplishment of that very thing. So be very specific in that. Be very specific and be first person, present tense, having achieved the goal, and write that down. Have your achievement statement written down, and here's the sort of bonus. Make sure that you continually revisit that and create that as a personal mantra through the entire time period that you are working towards the achievement of your goal. Don't just do an achievement statement and say all those things on the first day and put them in your journal and put it away thinking that's going to do it for you. It's not. You need to bring it out, maybe daily, maybe weekly, whatever it is, depending on the length of time that you have within which to achieve this goal, you want a regular practice of vocalizing and visiting those achievement statements to pull yourself towards that, okay? The next one is to list out all the potential obstacles. List out all potential obstacles. In order to avoid the trees in the forest, if you're running through the forest at night, you need to know where the trees are. You want to know up front where the obstacles are that may come up and get in your way to impede your progress toward the achievement of your goal. Now, there's always going to be some that come up by surprise that we can't foresee. But if you take the time in the beginning to ask yourself the question, what are the potential obstacles that could stop me or could impede my progress toward the achievement of this goal, and list them out, then we can start seeking solutions. Then we can become problem solvers instead of getting hit by those impediments along the way. We can make a plan for how we go around them. We can make a plan for how can we maybe remove some of them. What do we need to have within our plans from the beginning to take into account the potential obstacles? And the more specific we can be in seeing them first, seeing them before they come up, the better we will be at going around them, avoiding them, stopping them from impeding us when they do come up. Take some time in that exercise. And some of the things that come up, can be time management issues. Where are you going to find time to do the certain actions that you've figured out need to come into play to achieve this goal? What are some personal development, skill development obstacles that you may have? If you're back to the Fit Club thing, if one of your goals is related to the growth of your Fit Club or the growth of your challenge groups or whatever it is that you're working on, what are the potential time obstacles there? What are the potential logistical obstacles? What are some of the skill development things? Well, now all of a sudden I need to do some advertising and marketing. I'm not very good at that. That might be an obstacle. I can't fill a room if I don't have any answers to the issue of marketing and advertising and filling the room. Great. So I want to identify those things up front so that I can start to look for answers for them right up. Maybe I need a place to hold this thing. Maybe I need a building. Maybe I need a room. All of the things that could potentially come up to be obstacles in your way. Identify them, be very clear. And here's a cool thing. Sit down with your success partner. Ask your success partner, what are some of the obstacles that might come up here that I might be missing? Get an outside perspective to help you, because trust me, the development of a good, clear list of potential obstacles and then the problem-solving activities to get yourself in around and through those will be crucial to your ability to achieve the goal. Okay? So that's a big one. The next one that kind of goes in hand with that is, now that I know the obstacles, what additional information or knowledge do I need to achieve this goal? What additional knowledge or information do I need to achieve this goal? This gives you your personal goal, your personal development, your personal skill plan for the duration of that time period within which you've given yourself to achieve that goal. We want to be very specific on what's the new information I need. What do I need? Where do I need to grow, either personally or skill-wise or knowledge-wise or information-wise, to actually reach that goal? And once we get very specific with this and list it out, then suddenly we have a very clear plan to help guide our actions in terms of what we're going to do to increase our personal knowledge and information and skill set to bring us to the place we need to be for the achievement of that goal. And again, this is a great one to seek help with from your success partner, if you're in a mastermind group or whatever support group you have. Getting some outside feedback on this one is really good. And this kind of leads into the next one too. And I'll sort of jump into it beforehand, and that is, who can help me with that? Okay, what's the knowledge I need, and then where do I get that knowledge? And again, that's why your journal's crucial. Again, working through this, forming your list of the knowledge and information you need and where you can get it, and then developing your plan to make sure you are getting it. What training do you need? What books do you need to read? What skills do you need to develop? Where do you get them? Okay? And the next one, which I sort of just let out of the bag anyways, is whose help and cooperation will you need? Whose help and cooperation will you need? Okay? Who can help you? Are there people who have either achieved that goal already or are well along their way to achieving that goal? Those might be great people to connect with. Are there people who are experts and offer training and assistance in the fields that you just determined that you need to grow in? Or that you can, or who can offer help and training to help you develop some of the skills that you just identified you're going to need. Do you see what we're doing here? Do you see how we're breaking this down to the level of actually giving you concrete, actionable items that are directly related to the achievement of your goal? That's the stuff that throws you forward towards the achievement of your goal once you pull it all together and then start moving down your plan to implementing that. Okay, so who can help you? Who can you get around who's already there, who has the skills that you're trying to develop, who can help mentor you along the way, who can get you the training that you need? Who are the people who you can help along, who can help you along the way? Who are the people whose cooperation you might need or might be helpful to you along the way? And then what's your plan to getting in touch with them? What's your plan to how you're going to go about initiating those interactions, or maybe getting into those trainings, or whatever that might look like for you? Who are those people? Okay? The next one is, and it seems kind of strange that it took us all the way, it's not until number 10 that I even reference this. Now you're ready to make your plan. Make a plan. Make a plan. A detailed, specific, action-oriented plan with definite and definitive benchmarks along the way, with a deadline and a timeline, all built in a very detailed way. And you notice that we didn't even talk about making a plan until we went through all of these other 9 steps. Why? Because those 9 steps helped us to formalize and crystallize the vision of what this goal really is, and what the skills are, and the knowledge and the information and the people and all this that we talked about that are going to be needed to come into alignment for us to achieve the goal. Now that we've got an idea of all of that stuff, we can actually sit down and write out your detailed plan of how we're going to get to the achievement of that goal. Back to the journal, right? So you made your mission statement, and now you're going to break that down to a detailed, action-oriented, benchmark-focused plan, stepping you along the way, all the way to the achievement of your goal. It should be detailed, it should be written. You're formulating your business statement here, your thesis statement. Think of it that way, the thesis statement, and then the detailed plan of how you will bring that into being. Break it down, give yourself interim steps along the way, and then finally, track your progress of your movement along and through the plan. That's so crucial, okay? back again to what I said before, it's not enough to set a goal. We're talking about achieving a goal. And that means that there's going to be a process. There's going to be a system. There's going to be growth. There's going to be skill development. You're going to change from who you are today to who you will become in order to be able to reach and achieve that goal. And your plan is going to guide you along that way. But your ability to grow within, to track your own progress, to self-evaluate, to adjust along the way will make all the difference in the world between being able to achieve that goal and having it be just something that you set and never brought into or never manifested into reality. That's what makes the difference. It's not even enough to write out a good plan. If you don't track it, if you don't measure your progress along the way, adjust things along the way. Sorry to make a sports analogy, but the best professional sport teams in the world are the ones who make the right adjustments at halftime, right? Or make right adjustments during the game to be able to reach the victory. It's the ones who are able to adjust, to tweak along the way, that are those who are able to reach the achievement. And I want you all to be able to do that very same thing. And it only happens when you're tracking, when you're paying attention to the progress that you're making or not making, and being very realistic about how you're progressing or not progressing and what you need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, depending on the time limit that you've set for the achievement of your goal, to continue tweaking that trajectory. You know, a good analogy that was shared with me at one time about this aspect is the automatic pilot on the commercial airliners. The automatic pilot is continually readjusting, and I don't know what it is, because I'm not a technical guy. Every second or every 5 seconds or whatever, it evaluates where the plane is, where it's going, and it's always adjusting that trajectory, keeping it on the most efficient line to reaching its destination. You need to implement that same process with your goals. You need to make sure you're adjusting the trajectory every step of the way, evaluating, adjusting, being intimately familiar with the details of your plan and understanding exactly how it is making sense, driving you step by step towards the achievement of your goal, and then constantly adjusting the trajectory to make sure you're always moving forward. Again, goal setting is not a stagnant process. It's not something you write out and then stick in your desk and then at the end of the year pull back out and say, oh, did I do it or did I not do it? It's a living, breathing entity that you need to continue to breathe life into, that you need to continue to grow and deepen a connection with, always adjusting your trajectory to be always moving forward. Okay? Number 11, visualization. Visualization. Through positive affirmation, through your seeing yourself at the achievement of your goal, you will draw that goal achievement towards you. You will draw the achievement of that goal into being. It's a very powerful component, and again, a component that has a life to it. This is a daily practice that you want to pull into the way you're attacking your goals. See yourself on a regular basis having achieved that goal. Positively affirm to yourself your movement towards the completion of that goal. It's your willpower that's going to continue to pull you forward. It's your willpower and your seeing of yourself completing the goal that's going to continue to move you forward, that's going to drive you forward towards the manifestation of that goal. And here's another place where those dream boards come into play. They help you to continually visualize where it is that you're trying to go. I'm a big believer in them, by the way, and I use them myself all the time. There's nothing better than a daily reminder of the dream board that's hanging on your wall, continually giving you the visual of the achievement of that goal. It's a really, really important and powerful component to bring into your practice of goal achievement. And maybe to some of you it might sound a little hokey, but this is a practice that's used by professional athletes and performers all over the world, Olympic athletes, visualizing themselves completing the task at hand. Professional golfers and skiers and baseball players with their swing, and have this very normal, or whatever you want to call it, this accepted practice of using visualization to help hone those techniques in. You want to do that with your own personal goal achievement process as well. Trust me, just add that to what you're doing, bring that component in, and you will see amazing things happen in terms of your ability to progress forward. The final one is be here at the finish line. Be here at the finish line. You must be so deeply connected with your goal achievement that you will absolutely not leave it behind. And that's why all of these other first 11 steps are so important. That's why your goal needs to be personal. That's why it has to be connected with your own inner passion in some way, somehow. It has to be real to you to the level that you will not be willing to abandon it. And you must make that determination and commitment up front. You must make the determination and commitment that whatever your deadline is that you've set, you will be standing there on that date, goal in hand, no questions asked. That commitment and that decision has to be made up front, day one. You cannot allow yourself to give up on your own goal. And again, champions play to the final whistle. Champions don't give up after the first quarter, after the second quarter, after the third quarter. Champions are fighting to the final round, to the final bell. That's what you need to bring to your goal achievement process. That same philosophy, that same mentality. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dream. Make your goal so clear, so real, so deeply connected with your own inner passion that you couldn't possibly leave it behind. You couldn't possibly abandon it or give up on it. Be here a year from now. Be here at the finish line. No one has ever won a race without crossing the finish line. You must bring that level of commitment to your own goal achievement process. All right, so there you have it. Those 12 steps brought into a very living, breathing, consistent, and action-oriented plan will drive up the likelihood of your ability to achieve in a very, very big and very, very real way. This is the system that I use personally. It's the system that I share with my coaches. And as I said before, it's not necessarily something that I made up myself. It's taking bits and pieces from people who I have been lucky enough and blessed enough to have some guidance from. The only thing I know is it's worked for me, it's worked for others, and I hope it will work for you too. Give it a shot. See you next time.